This one's about what to do when you get a new symptom. So with these methods, when we deal with mental alarms or physical alarms, meaning, OCD, anxiety, what if thoughts, looping, intrusive thoughts, then you got all the physical symptoms, you name it, when you got, the 70 symptoms, mental and physical symptoms, and, you've had them for a while and you're trying to turn off alarms, bring down your baseline, and, empty your bucket. And then the alarms go away and the symptoms go away and you recover and you feel fine again, right? All these things are gone. Poof, they're gone. And, when we start our recovery journey, we usually have symptoms there that we've been dealing with for a while, right? And, symptoms, they move around, right? So it's like a whack-a-mole game, usually. And this is the part of the process. And what happens is when your bucket starts to get full, symptoms manifest, right? When your baseline's at 1,000, you're in an alarm state. So the brain sends physical alarms. So you get symptoms. When you're overwhelmed, when your body's pulling so many loads, right? It gets overwhelmed. It starts buffering. It's not working efficiently because it's trying to keep you alive. Plus, it's trying to do all these other things, trying to digest, trying to detox, you name it. It's doing a lot of things at the same time. And it's trying to keep you alive on top of it. So you're going to have symptoms build up. Something's got to give, right? The body keeps the score. So those are the ways that symptoms pop up because of that. So our fix with the alarm system reset is to empty your bucket, right? Bring your baseline down to 0, right? And when you do this, you start to turn off alarms by the way we respond. So when you're getting rid of the chronic symptoms, the alarms that you've had for a while, and then you start this journey, okay, well, you're familiar with all these. For me, I had 70 of them, and they were a nightmare. And I was lost. I didn't know what to do, and I was lucky. I finally started these programs, and I was introduced to the mind-body space. Eventually, I took over, and I became my own guide, where these programs didn't work for me anymore. But I eventually became my own guinea pig and my own guide, and I figured it out, right? And I'm fully recovered, I'm thriving, I'm happy. The symptoms that you get more intense, right? And then you start healing physically, and then what happens is the brain starts sending you mental alarms because it's still perceiving danger. So the brain has to get crafty and send you new symptoms. So what it does it with mental alarms, and sometimes it sends you new physical symptoms, right? It can do whatever it needs to do to get your attention. And when your bucket's not fully empty, right, and your baseline's not fully empty, it's like maybe at 60%. When before, you've been doing the work for a while, you're starting to heal a little bit, but the brain's still perceiving danger, right? It's still perceiving danger. It still needs to get your attention. But you're getting rid of all these alarms and all these targets that it was able to get your attention with. Now it needs to figure out, well, I still got to get his attention. We're not in the clear yet. We're not fully, the alarms are still ringing. I'm still perceiving danger because of all the years of bullshit we've been through. You've programmed a survival alarm state, and the brain is doing its job to keep you alive, and it's sending you all these alarms because you've been through some shit with past toxic relationship narcissists, right? Or you were on medication, or you were on antibiotics off and on through your life, or you had pneumonia, or you had a traumatic event in your life. You had trauma as a kid. Your parents divorced. Somebody died in your family, right? Anything that affects you negatively, mentally or physically, right? It fills up your bucket, and it also brings your baseline up, especially if it's like a bad work environment where you're constantly being in this program of survival, right? So let's say you're in a shitty job for 10 years and you hated it, and you hate your boss, you hate your coworkers, you're always fighting with them, right? You're with a narcissistic girlfriend, boyfriend, or marriage. You're in a marriage with a toxic relationship. Doesn't have to be a narcissist, it could just be toxic for 10 years, right? And you haven't gotten out yet, and you're staying in that environment for a long time. Your brain is perceiving danger, right? Normally your baseline's at 0, right? But when you come across a bear in the woods and it's behind you and it's on your back, your baseline goes to 1,000, right? And its job is there to protect you and keep you alive. So you either fight or flee. So once, let's say, the bear dies, right? You killed the bear, your baseline goes back down to 0, danger is over. But what happens is throughout the years, when you're in a toxic relationship or a bad work environment, your baseline is stuck at the fight or flight stage. It's constantly asking you, are we fighting or fleeing? Are we fighting or fleeing? Okay, we're fighting. Okay, we're fighting. It's constantly having this battle to keep you alive, right? And this is how the fight or flight state is implemented, right? Thousands of years ago, it was to deal with other tribes, people, wars, bears, tigers, lions, ligers. Now it's relationships, it's work environment, it's XYZ, you fill in the blank, right? There's many things. Maybe you're an alcoholic for 20 years. Maybe you smoked cigarettes for 20 years. Like, all these things take a toll on your body. It puts you in a state in fight or flight, fills up your bucket, the body sends alarms, it's overwhelmed, it's not working properly and efficiently like it used to, you're not healing properly, you're not digesting properly, you're not detoxing properly, and you're not XYZ, right? So, okay, so you get all these symptoms that pop up. And for me, it was 70 symptoms, a lot of gut issues, mental alarms, physical alarms. It was just a shit show. And I started doing the work, the mind-body work, right? And I started to, recover, feel better. Old symptoms got more intense, but that's the thing. During this process, you're going to feel like shit. Things are going to get more intense because the brain's perceiving danger, it doesn't like change. So it's going to try anything and everything to get your attention to the perceived danger, even though you're not fully in a safe zone yet, right? During the process from the beginning of recovery to the end, it's game on in between, right? The brain is still perceiving danger here, just like it was here. It might be a little less here, but it's still perceiving danger. So it's going to throw on alarms, and it's going to throw on new alarms. So that means new symptoms. And this is where it gets interesting. It's like, okay, well, I started feeling better, and all of a sudden I started getting my anxiety alarms started to go through the roof. Or I got other physical symptoms. It doesn't really matter. It'll just send you new alarms. And whenever there's something that's new, it's scary, right? When you have something old go away and it comes back, it's kind of scary, but you're more comfortable with it because you're used to it, right? You know it's going to go, and it does, right? And you become comfortable with the discomfort. And, you're like, it's an old friend, annoying, and it's an annoying friend, but it's an old friend. It's going to go. He's going to go. He's going to fuck off. We're good, right? It almost comes to the point where you have reassurance when it's there. You're like, oh, I don't mind dealing with you because I know you're going to go, right? But when you're dealing with a new symptom, right, whether it's physical or mental, right, it can be really scary at first. And there's nothing I can tell you that won't take away that first time shock value. The first time, what the fuck is this? I'm freaking out. You're going to freak out. There's nothing I can tell you, right? We can do all the methods that I teach you in this program. You can do all the methods perfectly. You can allow, you can engage, you can do exposure on turbo, right? Those things are great. But in the beginning, when you have a new symptom or symptoms, you're going to have a freak out. And there's nothing much you can do about it. You're just going to have to go through it. You're just going to have to fucking deal with it. And this is what it is, right? This is what happens. You're dealing with a new symptom, right? You know all the methods that I teach. You know the alarm system reset. You know how to deal with a symptom, right? You let it be there. You ask for more. You engage in life. You don't ruminate. You don't try to figure it out. You don't try to analyze, right? You're not Sherlock Holmes. You're not Albert Einstein, right? You don't go down the rabbit holes, right? When you don't ruminate, you don't try to figure it out, you don't try to analyze it, right? So you allow it to be there, but then you engage. So that's what we normally do. But in the beginning, when you get a new symptom, right? Nothing. I knew the symptoms. I had Post-it notes written everywhere. You're gonna fall on your face. And when I say you're just gonna have to fucking deal with it, people might be like, what kind of advice is that? Oh my God, that is irresponsible to say. What the fuck? What's the point of a program if you're going to say, just fucking deal with it? You don't just fucking deal with it. Oh my God. So what? I'm just going to deal with that? What do you mean? What I mean is, you have to experience it. The newness of it. The newness of it is making you catastrophize, and freak out, right? And you're going back to the old behavior patterns. That's going to happen. When you get something new, the amygdala takes over. It takes over the steering wheel and goes, I'm driving, right? And you're like, you have no choice, right? Like I've mentioned in the other video, you have no choice, right? You're going to go through it. You can't just be indifferent to it. It's not going to happen. So, okay, we understand. You can't just be indifferent to it. Indifference is something that you build up to, right? We know that, right? And it takes time to get to there. So, but what do you do when you first get that symptom, that new symptom? What do you do when you have a new symptom? What's the first thing you do? Well, like when I say, you got to deal with it. You have to experience it. And yes, you're going to catastrophize. You're going to freak out, right? It's going to be a couple of days of, what the fuck is going on? Oh my God, do I have XYZ? Oh my God, what is this? Do I have to go to the hospital? Oh my God, is this going to explode? Is this going to oh, do I have MS? Oh my God, do I have ALS? Oh no, oh my God, do I have cancer, right? Those are the big ones usually. Or a heart attack, right? Heart attack, ALS, MS, cancer, something's going to burst, I'm going to die, stroke. Those were my regular what if thoughts that I had when I would freak out, especially when I got a new symptom, right? And it depends what the new symptom was. If it was a physical muscle thing, then, try to, what's the extreme there? Or it was a gut thing, what's the extreme there? If it's a, chest pains here, what do you think the extreme there? Arm pain? Well, what do you think? Oh, head pain, feeling a little, oh, what do you think the extreme there is, right? It doesn't take much. It goes right away, right? And I could do with all the methods in the world, right? I can go, allow. Oh, I'm allowing. Ah, thanks for coming out. I'm asking for more. I'm asking for more. Oh my God. Ah. It's not going to work, right? Because you have flash fear. The amygdala is driving. It's going, fuck this. Fuck me. Right? It's taking charge because it's got to keep you alive. It doesn't think you can do it, right? We're still in that threshold where we're not in the clear yet. You're not fully recovered yet. And yes, you got a new symptom. So the amygdala is taking over. And you're going to go through a roller coaster still, right? Even near the end of your recovery, right near the end, this can happen. You get the setbacks, right? When you get new symptoms, old symptoms return. You'll get your setbacks. You take 5 steps back, right? You have the fear, the catastrophizing. This is why this is a shit show journey. You catastrophize, you have the fear, you take 5 steps back. But the thing is, what we got to do is you got to keep getting up and keep going through, keep sticking to the path. This is the journey where the brain is going to throw new symptoms at you, and you're going to be scared. You're going to have the flash fear, and the amygdala is going to take over, right? And you're going to loop, and you're going to have those days where they were just a waste. You're going to think, oh, what a waste today was. Oh my God, I was looping on this new symptom, and I'm freaking out. Oh my God, does this mean I have to start all over again? Like, I did so well, and then I got the new symptom, and I had a freak out, and now I'm in a spike because I'm freaking out, and I got all these old symptoms coming back, and now I can't eat. I had 5 foods that I could eat. Now I can only eat 2 foods. Oh, and I got constipation now, and my skin's over. Like, I'm freaking out again. Now I got 70 symptoms that are all back now. Oh my God. So what do I do? Oh my God. That's going to happen. That's the part of the process. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to fail. You're going to have freakouts, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And that's why I say when people say, oh my God, I got a new symptom. Oh my God, this, or the other, this feeling or this thought. I go, well, there's nothing I could tell you to, get you out of it right now. You just got to deal with it. Fucking deal with it. Experience it. And people think of it as me being an asshole. No, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling you exactly what you have to do. That's what I had to do. So what you have to do is you have to allow that symptom to be there and show its ugly face. And you're going to be, you got to put your time in, man. This is what it is. You got to put your time in. You got to get to know this new symptom, right? It's a stranger, right? It's like a burglar. Once upon a time, all your other symptoms, all your old symptoms, they were also intruders. But now they're labeled as, they got, a weekend pass, right? They have entry. They're allowed to come in and out. They're not considered dangerous anymore, right? And the brain is working with them. They have access. They got their papers, right? They got security allowance. But these new alarms, these new symptoms, they're still on high security alert. So you got to go through a process of experiencing them. over and over and over again. Right? So when I say, well, deal with it, you got to experience it. This is the process of when you get the flash fears, right? And you're catastrophizing, you're freaking out. Usually for me, it was 1 or 2 days that were like a write-off, but they weren't a write-off. They were very necessary for me to experience the symptoms, right? So that in the beginning, they're not allowed in, right? There's security guards there. You guys aren't allowed in. You guys don't have your papers. We don't know who you are. We don't have your identification. Where's your papers? Don't come back until you get the papers, right? So until the brain starts to get familiar with this symptom, right? With you, white knuckling, this is where you come in. Don't white knuckle through it. Allow it to be there, right? You're going to freak out. This is a part of the process. You're going to freak out. You're going to start looping, having what if thoughts times 1,000, right? You have to experience the symptom so your brain gets familiar with it, so it can analyze it and do its thing. But we're not going to volunteer any ruminating. We're not going to volunteer analyzing it, right? Or trying to figure out or Googling to get reassurance because you're desperately looking for reassurance. Let yourself have a couple of days of the freakouts because you're going to have it anyway, right? But also let yourself get to know the symptom, experience the symptom. And when you do, you're going to feel like shit. Your security system's at a 10. People don't like feeling the 10 out of 10, right? People don't like being in a stress response with new symptoms. They don't like the feelings of the what if thoughts. They want to get rid of them, right? But the more you try to get rid of them, the more they hang on and stay longer, and the more the brain perceives it as dangerous. Going, why is he doing this? We got a new symptom, I get it, but he's doing this. So alarm state goes up, right? And it magnifies, right? And then you're just concentrating on that. So in the beginning, you get the new symptom, you have a huge freak out. Then it finally calms down. You're like, okay, I freaked out, I'm catastrophizing. That passed a little bit. But now my what if thoughts are taking over because I have a minute, I've calmed down a bit. Now my brain's going, okay, now what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? Oh, fuck, what does this mean? So you're going to the second stage of catastrophizing where your brain is going, what does this mean? And it's trying to put things together and going, oh, it's trying to reach for past doubts, going, remember this? That's what it means. Remember? Oh, cancer. Oh, ALS. Oh, MS. Oh, or something that's dangerous that you need to go to a hospital, or something's going to explode, or something's going to go horribly wrong. And you're going to be chronically ill, bedridden, in bed, right? With something that you're going to be stuck like, this is a life of suffering. You know this new symptom? You know what it means, right? A life of suffering of many, many years. Forget about doing the program. This is it. This symptom? No, forget it. All bets are off now with this symptom. Right? So right now it's at a, that'll be 1 or 2 days. But as long as you allow yourself to feel the, but don't feed it. Don't fuel it with gasoline. Let it burn out. Go from, the first 2 days and let it burn itself out. But don't white knuckle through it. Don't go, the whole 2 days, because the 2 days will turn to 3 days, and the 4 days and 5 days, and 3 weeks and 5 months, and 3 years and 18 years. Right? No, we want to go 2 days. Not white knuckling, surrendering, allowing. Right? We're not surviving through. We're embracing. We're going, you know what? I'm curious to see what's going to happen. And you know what? This is also a golden opportunity. Once you've done this a couple of days, you've been ruminating, but you've been allowing the rumination, but you're not volunteering the ruminating. You're not trying to figure it out, right? You're doing the methods. The first day, forget it. It's a shit show. You're freaking out. Understand, but you're experiencing it, right? The first day, second day, right? You're like, this is new. And you just got to experience it. Third day, you're experiencing it more. It goes from a 10 eventually to a 7. So at the end of the week, you're at a 7. And then you allow it. And then you're getting to a level where you're allowed to ask for more. You're getting familiar with it, right? You're agreeing with the what if thoughts. And this is the perfect time, right? This is the perfect time after you've been through the freak out stage, first couple days. Now you're at a perfect time where you can implement the exposure on turbo method. Like for me, I was able to do it the first day. So the first hour and 2 hours, I was freaking out, right? And then eventually I brought in the exposure on turbo. If you're at that stage, perfect, do it. If not, if you're still freaking out after the second day, okay, give it time, allow yourself to have that freak out time, because it's going to happen either way. right? So don't be so hard on yourself. Go, why am I still freaking out? Oh no, doomsday, this is it. Oh no, go. Oh, Helmet had this. It's okay. You had a couple of days that are write-offs, right? But they're not really write-offs because you're experiencing it. You're dealing with it. Your brain's learning the symptom. It's going, okay, we're starting to understand it. We don't like it, right? We don't want it here. We're perceiving danger, but we're learning it. We're experiencing it, right? And then you drop in with the exposures on turbo. This shit works because when you start doing this, you're going to ask yourself, okay, I'm still freaking out about this new symptom. My alarm state is at a 10, right? You know, I thought it'd be at a 9. Whatever, it's at a 10. Sure, fuck it. It's at a 10. So what do? Get your phone out, get the recorder on there. You can do this on paper. You can write it out if you want. I prefer saying it with my voice because you can hear the voice trembling. You can hear the intense fear, right? It's more of a direct exposure. It's really triggering something. It's authentic. So you go into your phone and you go, that event that happened the other day, it showed me a new symptom, and I'm scared that symptom is going to happen again and again. And like it passed, but it's still lingering, and maybe something happened and it passed. Maybe it all depends. All these symptoms are unique, right? So whatever it is, talk about all the nasty stuff about it in detail. So what we'll talk about is something that you got and it's still hanging around, right? So we'll go, and this symptom, I'm scared that I'm going to be suffering and it's never going to go away. And it means that there's something that's really, really horrible, something that's structural. Maybe it's my heart. Maybe I'm going to have a stroke on next week, Tuesday, and it's just building up, right? Because I'm so fatigued and I feel, I'm so scared. I'm so scared that I think this is going to mean something and it's going to be constant. That's what I'm afraid of. So talk about it. You're afraid that it means something scary. It means something that's structural. It means that you're going to go back to square one, or you're going to be suffering for many years to come. And all the doubts. Talk about it. Because we want to trigger that fear. We want to bring that fear right up to the front. Right? And then sit with it. Go, okay, how do I feel? How does that make me feel? Oh, fuck, it makes me feel like 10 out of 10. Right? 10 out of 10? Okay, you're still at a 10 out of 10. All right. Okay, now repeat that into your recorder 10 times. The reason why we're repeating it 10 times because we want your brain to get re-stressed about that thought, because the brain is fucking scared about that thought, right? But we want to show it and go so it can go, okay, experience, we're getting to know it. All right, show me your papers. All right, we don't like it, right? Do it another 10 times. And then ask yourself, what do you feel? Sit in that fear. Go, okay, I'm sitting in the fear of 8 out of 10. Okay, it's still tough, but it's an 8 out of 10. The brain's like, okay, it's starting to get to know it a little bit. Turbo exposures are great because they're quicker. It makes the process quicker, right? So that you don't have to deal with this for a couple of weeks. Because you could not do the exposures, the turbo exposures, and deal with this, and it'll eventually, your brain will get to know the symptom in a couple of weeks, right? It'll go away. Then it'll come back and it'll feel like almost new again. Almost. And the brain will be like, I remember you. It was shitty, and I'm still scared about that, right? It'll go away. And then when it does that, come back and forth, go away, come back and forth 10 times. Eventually, it becomes an old friend, and it has security clearance where it's allowed to enter. But eventually, it's supposed to leave, right? It's not considered safe yet, 1,000% safe yet. But it's allowed to travel through, right? It's going, all right, you got your papers. Okay, you're only staying for 7 days. If you don't stay for 7 days, we're coming after you, right? When I kick you out, all right? That's your brain. It's a security system. It's like immigration. It's serious shit, right? But it's allowing you to come in to travel a little bit, to hang out, to show the alarm so that you acknowledge it, right? It's making it possible for you to get used to it and experience it. So you'll get to that level. And eventually you'll become friends with it, where it has full clearance. It can move there, make a little home there, full clearance, and you're okay with it. And that's when it goes. But in between that, it'll come and go throughout your journey until you are so indifferent to it that you don't care if it's there. You're actually happy that it's there. It actually gives you reassurance that it's there. And then eventually it goes away. And you let it go like a balloon. Poof, symptoms gone. So the turbo exposure, right? So you're doing this because you want to speed up the process a little bit. So throughout the day, let's say you do 10 of them. You describe exactly, let's say a description would take, it's about a paragraph and a half. Something that you really got to get fucking scared. You got to scare the shit out of yourself while doing this. That's the point, right? The what if thought, take it out of your mind, say it into the tape, or I should say the phone, because you need to trigger yourself. The brain's got to acknowledge it and look at it and go, all right, that was scary. And your response, you're giving yourself an opportunity here to listen to the perceived danger, right? You're showing the brain, hey, we're doing this exercise to show you that this thing right here that you're perceiving as danger is safe. But I got to do it 10 times so you get it with repetition. Because you have an alarm system number, right? A number system that goes from 10, 5, 3, 2, 0, right? And I got to get that clearance. So let's do it. All right. So you do your description. You talk about what scares you. Then you talk about, what your fears are, that it's going to stay and you're going to be chronically bedridden or you're going to die or whatever it is, right? And then you stop, you sit in the fear, and you acknowledge, what number am I at? Okay, a 9. All right. And you do that 10 times. And you might end up, when you're done at the 10th time, you might end up at a 7. All right, now we're going to engage. So you go cut the grass, you go play skip rope, you go fucking, mow the lawn again, like we just cut the grass, mow the lawn. Now we're mowing the lawn again. We're doing the snow. Here we go. We're doing the snow, right? We're taking the dogs for a walk, right? You're making dinner. And while you're doing this, you're still kind of freaking out about this new symptom. That's okay. We're engaging. We're allowing it to come with us on our shoulder, right? That's okay. Once you're done doing the grass, this is doing the grass. This is what this looks like. You go back to that recording, you press play. And you do the same thing again. You trigger yourself, right? 10 times. And after that 10 time you listen to it, you sit into that alarm state. You're like, oh, now, shit, I'm at an 8. Last time we did this, I was at a 7. That's okay. I'm at an 8. So we listen to it 10 times. And through the 10 times, like the 5th time, you can process it then. You can go, I'm going to press pause for a sec. I'm just going to process this and go, I'm sitting in the fear. All right, let's finish the rest. Let's finish the last 5. All right. Where am I at? Oh, I'm at a 5. Okay, I'm going to go engage. So you go engage. Then later on in the day, you do the exposure on turbo again. And then you might find that number 4 is the best your brain wants to do that day. Okay, fine. Next day, you do the exposure on turbos. Bada boom, bada bing. You keep doing this, you're out of 0. Your brain goes, meh, I don't care. And that's when you build leverage. And that's when you go, you know what, brain? I want more of that. And I hope that event that happened or that symptom that's lingering still comes back or hangs out for another 3 months. Okay? Right? You call it bullshit. You get cocky confidence. You're not surviving or white knuckling through. Right? And then you treat this alarm like you do with all the other alarms. Right? You treat it the same. You give it the same response like you do with the program. Right? You allow. You ask for more. You engage. Right? You feel the feelings. You process the alarms. And then you engage. Right? And then you do exposures. You can take 5 steps back. Right? You allow the alarms to be. And then you engage. And eventually it's always about the alarms going from a 10 to a 1. 10 to a 1. This is the process of always bringing down the alarms. Letting that fire naturally die. By giving it its space that it needs to burn. Right? Constantly. Let it ring. Ding, 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 ding. Right? And then engage. And coming back to it, go, okay, let's ring. Ding, 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 ding. Right? So you're constantly giving it its space to ring and die out. Let that fire, eventually it's going to be like this little fire. It's going to die out. Right? And then you'll have setbacks. Or it'll come back in 6 months. It'll be like a little bit of a, right? But that's the process. That's the journey. So in the beginning, you just got to deal with it. You got to experience these symptoms until you gain the leverage. And then you do the exposure on turbo, and then you gain more leverage, and then you treat it like you do all the other alarms. You allow and engage. You ask for more, right? And when you become friends with it, and it builds a history with experience, because it's going to come back. But when you build history with it, you go, oh, I remember when this guy first came around, that was a year ago. Oh, he's left. He's come back like 5 times. But we have a history together, right? And he always goes away. And that's when your confidence comes in. And that's when you know it's going to go away. And it's not a big deal anymore. And all this allows the baseline to calm down even more. Because the brain, during the journey from here to there, is going to throw you alarms, right? It's going to be a shit show right to the end. But along the way, when you get better at sending the right response, it allows the baseline to move down to 0, right? It allows the baseline to go back to reset, right? Standby. And once your alarm system, your baseline starts to calm down, right? Your alarms turn off and they become weaker, right? And then if you have a week where you're recovered, and you have a week where it's stressful because life will give you curveballs, you'll have an uptick of symptoms here and there. And it's good to have that because it's reminding you to stay on top of your lifestyle. This isn't something that you do and leave it alone. Like, this isn't a program that you just leave alone. This is changed from a program to a lifestyle. This is something that you're going to keep doing for the rest of your life. And you're going to enjoy the idea that your brain's going to tell you, hey, buddy, you've had a couple of stressful weeks and you're taking in a lot. Maybe you got to cut some things out. Maybe step back a little bit, right? And maybe pay attention to doing your visuals a little bit better. Give it yourself, more time with the dogs. Go out, do some more dancing. You haven't been dancing for a couple of weeks, buddy. What's up with that? You need some more one-on-one time with yourself, right? You're doing the lifestyle, but hey, we're human. So get back on track. But I mean really on track. So these are good alarms because they make sure you stay on track so that you don't fall into a situation where you stop doing the methods and then in 2 years you get to start from scratch again because you've let your bucket fill up too quickly and you hadn't had time to maintain it, and keep it empty at this spot. It's already gotten too full, right? Your alarm went from a 0 to 20. Okay, 20, that's life. But then you let it pass 20, it went up to 1,000 again. So it's good to have these symptoms pop up here and there a little bit. So having these alarms pop up here and there, make sure that you keep that bucket empty, right? And it also reminds you of all the shit you went through so you don't forget it. Because these are powerful tools and powerful things that you've learned. You don't want to forget all this shit. Because eventually the brain will forget. Because you're safe. You're recovered. You're restored. Right? And that's why I like the idea of keeping this going. Even if you feel great, keep it going. Right? Because you're maintaining a good life, but you're also remembering your journey. Because when life happens in the future, you'll remember. And you'll remember how to use those tools. The thing is, going through this process, this journey, and when you get new symptoms, people want relief. Now. I need to not feel this discomfort. But the thing is, through this recovery journey, you have to be patient. And you have to experience the alarm that makes you feel uncomfortable, where you don't have relief right away. Where you're going to have a freak out here and there. Right? Where you got to deal with it. You got to experience it. This is how you learn. And it's going to feel uncomfortable. And you can't just push it away. The more you push it away, the more of a problem it becomes. And the more you're going to analyze, the more you're going to freak out, the more you're going to try to figure it out. Right? So you can't just have relief. Don't do this to have relief. That comes later down the road. You got to do the hard work now. So you got to experience it. But you'll get better at it. And you'll have a history with that symptom. And that new symptom will become old. And you'll get new ones. And you get new ones. And eventually you won't get new ones anymore. The old ones stay old. And eventually those old ones are gone.